All right, today's episode we have Mr. Drew McKeown. Drew is a white belt at Legacy Jiu Jitsu. He started about 6 months ago. Also owns its own home inspection company called Stay Gold. So if you're ever in the market for and need a home inspection, please reach out to him. And yes, this is hopefully our first installment of, let's just call it Tales from a White Belt. So enjoy.
Come a long way. What are we watching today?
Fuck, I don't know. Kittens. And
I'm in.
But we have Tom's boy, Tynan Dalpra, a little match there from Pans over the weekend.
That's
I think
great.
the finals are going on right now. It's just like the absolute finals are today, and then like the black belt weight divisions are going on today. So it should be fun.
What's that thing that Tom was doing in that Instagram reel?
What was that? Jiu-Jitsu World League. So Tom's thing is like, it's his first competition at black belt. So like, would you really want to jump into like one of the major tournaments at Pans, or would you want to like get your feet wet and kind of get used to it? And then I'm sure soon he'll be doing like some opens around and maybe the next major. So I'm not even sure what it would be, Europeans or Worlds or where it's even at. So I don't follow too much IBJJF, but except like obviously big things that are going on and in the news now.
That was nuts, dude. I was trying to figure out what was going on with that guy's arm. I couldn't tell if he was just like really flexible or if like that guy just really didn't want to tap.
Well, if like from that position, like people usually are flexible. Like, so like to get Americana'd from mount, it's not like the most common submission. If you saw David's little reply to it, it was like, what are you, like a heavyweight now? Because it's like it's such a big guy move. Like Americanas and Kimuras in general, kind of big guy moves, right? So like it's like a David special, but then Tom's doing it, and it's just hard to like generate like the complete torque you'd need to finish the Americana from mount. Like usually you dismount to side control, and then you can finish it a lot easier from there. But Tom's the fucking man, right? So who are we to tell a world champion what he can and can't do? And go to, just while we're here, go to Flow Grappling, and I think we can kind of watch along with Pans a little bit. So yeah, click that, and it'll probably. I gotta like sign in. Yeah. Well, maybe not them.
There's these.
Yeah, you might be able to. I don't know why it signed me off on this computer, but hey, I'm just gonna text you the login stuff real quick, and then we'll do that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like we haven't used that computer in so long, so everything is completely signed out. But yeah, so I'm not sure when Tom gets back. Hopefully he gets back like this week. And because I think they still have like a long system they want to go over, like the collar sleeve, the X guard, and all that stuff. Not that those completely even tie together, but
I sure hope so.
They found a way to tie it together.
I was really enjoying the collar sleeve.
It is good. So I don't play much, much like gi specific guards. So I'd like to start throwing those in and doing that. It's been kind of fun, just trying to broaden the game out, like as you get closer to, I guess, the end, like I'm at hopefully towards the end of brown belt. Who knows? I could be in the very beginning still. And there's the login stuff for it. If you can't see the password, you just got to click on it. So like trying to do this and change the game to like, wrestle a little bit more, play top game, and quit playing just like open guard from the bottom just because like the knees don't allow it at the moment. So doing that, and collar sleeve's been kind of fun because you can kind of keep them at bay and stretched out. Really my only go-to from collar sleeve is just triangles, and I can't even like fully lock triangles comfortably because my knees have put so much pressure on them. So I'm just in like this weird space right now of I don't even know what to do. But
sure,
yeah,
I kind of like the idea of the shallow lasso as like a little latch ditch to prevent the pass, and then reworking back to the hip. It's nice,
especially like with the gi, so you can grab that sleeve grip, and you have their arm hooked on the leg with that shallow lasso, right? So like they can't pass it. Like you always have something in there unless they break the grip, which gi grips are hard to break, right?
Yeah.
So
impossible, really.
It's sometimes impossible. Yeah. Did you get it? All right, working on it. All right. Yeah. So I feel like you're fully back into like the swing of things with jiu-jitsu with the new job, right?
Yeah, 100%.
It's been like at least a month you've been kind of consistently back, or around a month, right?
Getting close. I think we're on like week 3.
Nice.
So I injured my rib and then started a new job that same week.
You didn't put the numbers at the end of the email. He's learning how to read still.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
So am I.
Yeah, so it's true. Yeah. Nice. So how's the new job going?
It's been great, honestly. Like really rewarding line of work.
Yeah. Is it? And you're just like testing out like electronics and doing stuff like that, right? And just kind of like the guinea pig for the electronics to send out to these different places. Is that right?
Kind of. I think the best way to describe it is my role is as an instructor before anything else. And I work with a grant called Building for the Future with the Connect Tribe.
Yeah.
And the idea is we can take youth, Native Alaskan youth specifically from around the state, and give them an education hub or center where they can learn how to utilize modern construction technologies.
Yeah. So are they coming to you?
They're coming to us.
Oh, awesome. That's great.
So from everywhere, really. Right now we have a lot of locals, but down the line we hope to get kids from a variety of different villages to come through.
Yeah.
Educate them, teach them how to use these systems. We're talking things like 3D printing, CNC, 3D modeling and design.
Yeah.
And essentially utilize that, take it back to the villages, and then build the communities up from there.
Yeah. Is there ever, like, have they ever brought up talking about, like, you going out there? Or is it just always specifically going to be them coming to you guys?
I don't know about travel yet. I don't think it's off the table.
Yeah.
Anything is possible with this program. I think it's just a matter of having the right idea and mindset to execute really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But it is just mind-blowing, the types of grants that are going forth. So as of yet, to answer your question, they're just coming to us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's nice. So, and still doing the home inspection thing on the weekends?
Which is nuts, because that doesn't slow down either.
Really? That's good though, right?
It's good, but man, my days are long. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, jiu-jitsu at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I go straight to my 9 to 5.
Nice.
Immediately after that, I usually have an inspection at 6 p.m.
Oh, really?
And I mean, I could be done at like 9 or 10 p.m.
Oh,
fall asleep, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, that's good though. Is the job you're doing now, which is kind of a second job? Is that a long-term all the time thing, or is it just to kind of fill in the gaps between until home inspection can be like more than full-time?
That's a good question. So inspections was actually full-time for me, and it's a line of work that I really enjoy, but it's also a stepping stone to something greater that I'm trying to imagine for myself. So this full-time job, which is the first full-time job I've had in probably 7 years, working for the man, which I'm more than happy to do at this point, is the start of like what I want to call a career for myself. So I also started going back to school, and I'm sort of slowly inching my way toward an architectural master's, and that's my end game.
Nice.
So everything I've learned from home inspecting, basically doing these walkthroughs, learning the structure from the inside and out, from the spiders and cobwebs and the crawl spaces to the insulation filled attics, you know what I mean? That's all given me this interesting scope on how a home works. And now I want to take that, get into the design process, and then ultimately start creating my own designs for future buildings.
Nice. Like specific kind of buildings, or just like all over, like commercial or residential, or?
I'd be open to a lot of things, but what really interests me now, and one of the reasons why working with Connect Tribe is so cool, is they offer us a lot of technologies which we can use. So I'm currently using the architectural design process professionally at this line of work. And I think above all else, what would interest me is helping build village infrastructures. So designing sustainable buildings that can be repeated and built throughout villages to help grow communities.
Have you seen Pineapple Express?
Yes, I have.
So little kids could take shits at playgrounds. Remember that scene?
No, I don't remember that scene.
He wanted to go to school for, I think for architecture or something, and then it was to build like outhouses at playgrounds or something. So, but that was his line, is like, so little kids could take shits at playgrounds or something.
That's great, man. How rewarding.
It is rewarding, right? It's very good. He has like the community thought involved.
Although pooping at a porta potty in a playground never really sounds appealing. I feel like you're just kind of like you have to at that point.
I just go outside the porta potty.
You and the rest of Anchorage, I guess.
It's a pretty common thing, especially downtown. But nice. So this is hopefully like our first installment of, I don't even know what we're going to call it. I mean, like Tales from a White Belt or something, and start bringing like you on, and maybe like get into other white belts from like other gyms too, and just field questions and see like how their process is going, their journey's going, because obviously everyone starts out as the white belt and starts out knowing nothing, and pretty much knows nothing for the next year at least. So I mean, you're probably you're probably like what, 5 months into it now?
Yeah, it started in October, so I think I'm coming up on 6 months.
6 months, that's good.
With probably a month or 2 months of hiatus.
Yeah, from breaking ribs,
due to fragile ribs.
Yeah, starting new careers, all horrible things to do when you first start jiu-jitsu.
You know what's funny though? I think jiu-jitsu is the reason why everything happened though.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is about this sport, but it has made me a better person.
Oh, definitely.
From the bottom up.
And like people don't like realize that coming in, like it's not just a hobby. Like there's like a complete lifestyle behind it.
Sure.
And like it affects you everywhere. Like it makes you want to like, you know, have a better day. It makes you maybe want to eat healthier or get in better shape and all this. Or maybe, you know, you're eating healthy to like fuel your body for a better workout or something. Or like you just want to see more results because like you're getting like these mental and physical results from jiu-jitsu. And like someone who's like from the outside looking in, like they just have no idea. And like even like in your spot now, like 6 months in, like you're starting to like see it and you know, even before 6 months, but like, you know, the new career and have this and like just a completely different outlook on life really. And like I said, it's just motivating everywhere. And if people can like get into it and really see like there's something more to it than just wrestling your friends at 6 a.m., then like, man, it could completely change your life, let alone just like teaching lessons, like life lessons, you know, like just, you know, getting through struggles and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I ran into Sean Prince from Bartlett. You may remember
the wrestling coach, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And well, now the principal. So I read one thing. I think it was on their website. They have like 3 or 4 principals or something. I might have made that up, but I'm pretty sure it said they had multiple principals.
I'm not sure. I know he's a black belt.
He is at ABJJ?
Yeah, which is pretty impressive. I run into him from time to time, and what's crazy is the last time I saw him, I think he was just getting his black belt, and I hadn't started training yet.
Yeah, that had been quite a while ago then, right?
Yeah, it was probably a year ago. I had just moved back to Anchorage, and I always loved catching up with him because he was a really big mentor in my life going through high school, whether it was being a student or a wrestling practitioner.
Yeah.
And I saw him yesterday. Just wandering around doing some errands, and I was like
bending nails.
Yeah,
holding hammers.
Yeah, it was at a hardware store, so that might have been the case. But I was really happy to tell him about my new journey with jiu-jitsu, and kind of where the conversation led was lessons in jiu-jitsu that transfer to daily life.
Yeah.
A good example for him was he was working with somebody who's fresh and new, just like myself, and we have a tendency to grab onto something and just like whether or not it's good for us, we won't let go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel
like that could be good and bad, you know, like the big thing that's like with the gi is like you want to have like some grips. You want to have contact with people in jiu-jitsu, right? Like you can't just like not grab anything and then not have something, but like you gotta like you feel their energy through the grip, you feel like everything, let alone just some sort of control. Like so whether you're just hanging on to hang on or you have somewhere you want to go with it, like you have to have some sort of grip and some sort of connection with somebody.
Absolutely. So. And the idea there was sometimes you may have something, but you have to let it go if it no longer serves you.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, I mean, maybe I might have a really nasty collar grip and then somebody takes my back and I'm doing this awkward thing, you know, like maybe I should reassess where I'm at right now and approach the situation with a different strategy.
If you do that, though, you will not get a second stripe, Drew. So let go of the grip before they
I don't even want stripes, dude. I don't know.
I do.
White belt for life.
It's an outlook to have, I guess.
Well, I would hope to have the white belt mentality for life. I don't ever want to get cocky, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I feel like it could be easy to think that I'm doing really well, and then it's just like, there's still so much game left. There's still so much to learn. So, I mean, I'm somewhere in the realm of brown belt, and there's still so much like game left and all this. Like, so much to the point, like I said, like I've trying to change up my whole game. It's super easy to resort back to having a lazy guard and playing that, but like I'm trying to like play a top game and open up this whole new world, work on my mount, work on wrestling and do all these things, just because like my mount's always been pretty shitty, but man, like I feel like and we had Ryder on from ABJJ, and he talked a lot about like these false summits when you get to the belt, and like even at brown belt, like it's just a false summit because like jiu-jitsu is just endless, you know? Yeah.
And like just the people like at white belt maybe who's like, all right, I get to blue belt, and then you get to blue belt and you realize it's just nothing. And even at purple belt, like you just realize like all these little like, you know, color belts and tape on the belt, like they're just little pats on the back, and they don't really mean what you think they mean. It's just like because a 3-stripe blue belt, it's not necessarily better than a 2-stripe blue belt. Like you're just getting like these little rewards and doing this, and like there's no peak at blue belt, right? Or even purple belt. Like you're just at this little rolling hill, and you're going to get to the top of it, and you're going to see like Mount Everest still to go. And I'd assume even at black belt, like once you reach the top of Mount Everest, like fuck, there's a whole nother mountain right there. So
I something you said in that interview with Ryder, was his name, correct?
Yeah.
In that interview with Ryder about how you received your blue belt and you were just a day away from a white belt.
Yeah.
I thought about that, and that really resonated with me because that is just such a minor change,
Yeah.
The mentality is only a small step.
Yeah. And it's really only in like one person's eyes. Like just that day, Roger thought I was a blue belt. Oh, and then like shit, the next day, like I could have thought of myself as a white belt again. Like if you think about it, like your first day at blue belt or your first, however long, like you're just like the worst blue belt you could be. And like the day before, you were just the best white belt you could be. Like you're just a day away from either one of them. And there are going to be so many days like in each belt where you're like, man, I shouldn't even be here right now. Like you're, like you should be like you mentioned earlier, like I don't want to get cocky. Like I don't want to think I'm doing really good, but man, you're going to have those days, right? Like you're going to be like, I did so good today. Like, I took George down today. Like I sat here and did this. I did an Americana from Mount today. And like, you're going to be riding high, but then there's going to be days where like, man, George killed me today. Like I couldn't get a takedown. I couldn't stay off my back. I couldn't defend anything. Right. And it's just like, and that's probably part of the fun part about the whole game though. Like you can't sit there and like just be riding high the whole time.
No.
And be like, I'm like unstoppable and all this. Like there's gonna be those humbling moments. Like no matter how many of those good days you have in a row, like you're going to have bad days. And like it's just like, and one of those like learning lessons from jiu-jitsu, right? It's like you're learning how to get through those bad days, whether it's on the mat or off the mat. Like you're just getting all these just life lessons pounded into you, and you just think you're having fun wrestling around with your friends.
Right. And it's got to stay that way. It's got to stay light. When I had my 5-week hiatus from this last injury, I came back.
Was it 5 weeks?
It was 5 weeks.
Well, that was with the new job too though, right?
Yeah, but realistically, like it was a combination of both.
Yeah.
But I wasn't fully healed. I still feel the tenderness in there, like lingering, and I wonder if it's just like
those little rib injuries are like that though. Like I've probably had 2 or 3 throughout like the years I've been doing it, and they linger on for a while. Like not so much like obviously like you can't train, like you still can, but like it's got to be in like the back of your head, but like I don't know if I want to get stacked today, or like I don't know if I want to sit here and like put too much pressure on it or let someone knee on belly me or anything like that.
Right. And for me it's bridging right now. Like I'm very hesitant to bridge, which is interesting because it's forcing me to play a different kind of game. Like somebody might have me in side control, and rather than trying to instantly bridge out of it, I might turn my back to them, which isn't ideal.
Not at all.
It's just working a different position. Like, okay, well, maybe I'll work on defending my back now, even though it's
and you got them. And if you can turn your back, and which it's not, like you said, it's not ideal. And I actually just talked to Josh about this. Like we were rolling, and one of his just like natural instincts was to kind of roll and give his back. And I think he was in Turtle, which Turtle's a pretty safe space. Like, it's kind of hard if you can really close up space. Like, it's hard to like for someone to like get their knee in or get a hook in or open up their elbows from like the hips and find that space. But you want to like turn back into guard. Like once you're ready, or you can stand up and break like the little waist grip and the body lock and maybe like start to wrestle again. But, if you do like roll to a side, like you want to roll to face them, right? Like you want to face them the entire time. If I'm in Turtle and you're playing top Turtle and I roll with my back into you, well, I just gave up my back even more, and like I opened up space. And on top of that, like if at the minimum I gave my back, like I could give up side control, I could give up my back, and they could sit here and do all that just because the wrong reaction. But like what you're talking about is like if you just like give up your back and go to Turtle can be a pretty safe space. And then you can like sit there and work on like your Turtle game and what you can do, like roll through for legs, or just little sweeps you can do if someone like puts their arm too deep. But like I said, it's just finding like whole new worlds, and like the boat I'm in is the same one you're in. Like the injury and little nagging things are forcing you to do that, right?
Absolutely. That's a good way to look at it. How's the wrestling thing coming along?
Dude, so I got wrestling shoes.
Okay, I saw that.
I'm pretty pumped for them, and I'm gonna start. So I'm going to start. ABJJ puts on a Tuesday and a Thursday class. Kind of bummed because the time is like from 6 to 8. And we train at 6 in the morning, so switching my schedule up to make those
2 hours. That's pretty intense.
That is, I am nervous about a 2-hour class. What I'm really hoping is, and I could be silly for even thinking this, but I'm hoping it's just like an hour of kind of like, technique and doing this, and then maybe like they just have an hour blocked off after for like kind of live rounds. And then, but fuck, I have no idea. Wrestling's tough, so it could just be a really tough 2-hour class.
It's so hard. Right. What do you expect to gain? Is it just to explore a new art, or is this to help build your jiu-jitsu fundamentals?
Both, really. So I've spent a lot of time worrying about like what's after black belt. Not so much worrying, but just like curiosity. Like anyone I'm talking to, like black belt wise, it's like, so what changed after black belt? Like, obviously, like for me, my goal was always to get to the next belt. Like, it's always chasing belts. Like other goals too, like to, better yourself and be as good as you can be. But it's like, white belt, I wanted a blue belt. Blue belt, I wanted a purple belt. Now I have a brown belt. Like I have one more goal, like a big goal, like to get to black belt, but like that's the last one. What do you do after that? Like, am I going to get my black belt and then just be like, well, I'm done. Like I don't have any more goals. And then on top of that, like I do want to continue to play like a really good top game, or, build a good top game, not continue to play one because it's probably pretty trash right now. But like I want to sit here and like get a really well-rounded game, especially with not being able to play like a really active guard without being able to elevate people and put too much pressure on my knees right now. It'd be easier to do that by playing top game. I feel like my wrestling is not bad. I have like a decent arm drag sometimes and get to singles and like maybe like the back, like a body lock and do trips. But man, what I'd really love to do is be able to shoot from the outside. Like, and I'm never going to have like the Dan shot, but I want to have something close to it. Like, cause Dan could shoot from like feet away and it's so smooth. Like, I just want to have a really good shot. Like, I would love to be able to shoot a single or a double from arm's length away and not have to arm drag to close the distance. So on top of like, wanting to have a better game and just an all around game, it's also about like, cause I still obviously don't know what's after black belt. Right. But I want to have something ready that I can put my focus into. Like I always put my focus into jiu-jitsu, but just more grappling as a whole. So if I can start another art as like far as wrestling goes, well, whenever I do achieve black belt, I'm still going to be like a white belt in something else. And I can just kind of start over and start incorporating those things in my game. So it's kind of like just a backup plan that just serves in multiple purposes.
I think it can only make you better.
Right. And I think it'd be fun. Like, standing up's hard, right? Like the stand-up game in jiu-jitsu is tough, especially like if you're just used to like pulling guard or playing bottom, like even to like do a few like light rounds of wrestling, like just to go from the ground to stand back up and restart standing, like it takes a lot out of you.
It does. Standing is the most exhausting part, I feel like.
Yeah, especially like I feel like for jiu-jitsu people, and it's like you're just not used to it. Like especially like the older people, like kids class, like if you ever happen to be there when a kids class is going on, when they start like their live rounds at the end, they always start standing, and I'm just like, man, good for you little guys, because like I couldn't even imagine having that kind of cardio. Mm-hmm. But like as the adults, like and especially at 6 in the morning anyways, like you pretty much always start on the knees or someone's seated and maybe someone's standing, but it's never like both start standing.
I've been trying to usher that a little bit more.
Yeah. And
some guys are more willing to do it. I feel like it depends on what you want to get out of it.
Yeah.
In my mind, I think this is like a pretty critical skill in regards to self-defense.
Yeah.
So how often are you going to be sitting on your butt in a self-defense situation, unless you're caught off guard and somebody pushes you over and you need to escape? But realistically, like if you're cornered or trapped and you need to get out of there, you might be on your feet.
Yeah.
And you might have to take somebody down.
Yeah.
And if you don't train for that, it's just going to be a foreign situation.
Yeah. And then, it's like it just kind of goes like hand in hand with like that aspect. And if you can work like I'm going to start working wrestling, right? So if I can sit there, and a lot of the part like for like 6 a.m., we'll just use us as the example, is you're not used to starting standing. So one of the things that makes it so tiring is like it's a whole new world. So like you're not calm, like your heart's racing because you're stand up, you have adrenaline going,
sure,
right? To whereas like it's not that neutral seated position. So like it's kind of like a weird thing that people in the morning class don't really drill as much. So that's one of the things that makes you so tired. So if I can just get live rounds of that on like Tuesdays and or Thursdays, then I think it's just going to help all around. My wife also does, well, she did judo and she's like talking about getting back into it. Now like her academy's over and all that. So now she has like a little bit more free time. So I wouldn't mind throwing in like a judo class a week too. But unfortunately, they're the same days as those wrestling classes. So maybe I do like one day of judo, one day of wrestling. And then I have like a really good no-gi stand-up game as far as wrestling goes. And then like a decent stand-up game in the gi and just translate judo into that too. And it's just one more thing I can work on and not have to be worried about like, well, what do I do now? Like I'm a black belt. What do I do? Like I can sit there and work on being a black belt in judo one day, and I can just sit there and work on being able to shoot from arm's length away in wrestling. And I feel like it's just one way to set myself up, so I'm not worried about like getting burnt out or stressed out after, and like not being able to make goals in jiu-jitsu anymore.
Do you think that's what it'll come to?
I don't know. I'm scared to find out.
I'm a black belt now, therefore
I don't know what else to do. And I said a lot of people were like. So I talked to Tom a little bit about it, and he said he was kind of like depressed for, a couple of weeks after, just because like, whoa, what now? And in Tom's case, like, you're a world champion. Like you're obviously like one of the best as far as like competition jiu-jitsu goes, or competing goes, and just jiu-jitsu in general. But like your goal should always be to, win worlds or like win a major title and do that. So if he was depressed and like just wondering what was next, like I don't even really compete. Like I compete once in a while when I get like a wild hair. But with like injuries now, like I was just sitting there thinking to myself quite a bit now, like I don't even know if I'll compete again, just because, like the knees and my hips and just kind of everything. Like we were doing a situational on Friday and I got paired up with Ben, who's, just a monster. And I think we were just fighting in this weird little dogfight position, and it was kind of whoever got like the elevation and like the height more to get like the sweep, I ended up like getting him over, but like man, I like hurt something like my shoulder blade, and it's just like man, these little things like in the mid-30s you just don't heal like you used to, right? And it's like I don't even think I could go a whole week without like my knees slipping out of place or just like something aching and just being like, I don't even think I could even handle a competition right now.
Sure. And people aren't so gentle in competition,
right? Yeah.
It's there for the win. You're not there to train with that person again.
Yeah. You ever think you'll compete in jiu-jitsu?
Absolutely not.
Really?
It wouldn't serve me. I thought about this, and I totally respect people who compete, and I totally understand the reasons for wanting to do so, but none of those reasons apply to me and why I'm doing this journey.
Yeah.
For me, this is deeply personal, and I'm gaining a lot from this in terms of life, but I just feel like in competition, the risk of potentially gaining an injury and not being able to train anymore, especially considering I'm so new to this, it just doesn't seem like it's worth it at this point in time.
Yeah. Do you think the risk of getting an injury is higher in a competition than it is the training room?
I can't be the one to ask because I've never competed. Yeah. I just from observing.
If I told you it's not, would you compete?
It might change my mind a little bit. I could see the frequency of training in the gym being more likely for injury, but I could see, and this is just guessing based on observation, but I could see competing causing a more severe injury.
Yeah.
Like cataclysmically,
Yeah. I mean, definitely could. You never know. I think it's just one of those things like you're like, it's 50-50 if you're going to get injured in the class, right?
Sure.
And it's kind of the same thing in like a competition, and who knows, like, that's how you feel right now. And you might change your mind, before you get to blue belt or maybe at blue belt or something like that. And just to see like if your skills translate to at like a full speed compared to at like a 50 to 75% in the gym. But you should compete at least once. It'd be fun. And maybe not even anytime soon, but just, in the future, like just to see what it's like. I saw this meme one time. It was competing's like worth 100 classes. And it was true. I saw that maybe after I competed my first time. And when I competed, I got onto the mat and I didn't remember anything that happened. I remember we maybe got some grips, and I ended up in a triangle. I don't know how we got to the ground. I don't know how I got put in a triangle. And when it was over, like, the adrenaline was spiked, and you just, couldn't even like handle the nerves. So then to go back into the training room like the next day or the next week, it was just like a whole new thing. Like, my eyes were open. I was like, wow, that's jiu-jitsu. Like, everyone here is just being friendly, and it's not a bad representation of what would happen, like, if you did need to be put in a self-defense situation, because, like, obviously you're probably doing more than the attacker would be doing, as far as like training, multiple times a week and doing all this. But man, like, these people in like the morning class, like, they're not attackers, right? They're just like your buddies, and you're training with them. But like, the person on the mat you compete against, like, that's an attacker. Like, they're literally trying to like hurt you.
Yeah.
So it really puts it like into perspective, and it really made you think, like, to tighten everything up. Like, wow, like, that shitty lasso I was doing does not work. Like, why didn't that lasso work? Why didn't my takedown defense work? And it's just because, like, man, you're just a whole different world. So like I said, one day, I think everyone who does jiu-jitsu should probably compete at least once, just to see what it's really like. And then, if it's for you or not, like, it might just be like the people who talk about doing jiu-jitsu, right? And most people who probably listen to this have talked to someone who are like, oh yeah, I'm thinking I want to do it, but they never do it, or they kick it around a while and then maybe they do. It's the same thing. Like, if you do jiu-jitsu, maybe you don't want to compete, or maybe you think about it, and then like you get hooked to it or something like that, and you never know, you could be the next world champion and follow Tom around and do seminars and do crazy shit like him.
You're using as a general term for anybody listening.
Just you. But yeah, anyone listening, like, it's like the people who talk about doing jiu-jitsu, and then, they're just like, oh yeah, I might do it. And then, you get hooked, and you figure out it's a lifestyle, and Sure. It can do so many things. It could be the same thing. Or maybe you do it and you don't like it, and be like, no, I'm just here to have fun and to do something active and treat it like just an activity, which is cool too. But
the lifestyle thing's real. I remember asking you, I think it was like my first and maybe even second day, hey Mark, so this is 3 days a week, how often do you come?
Yeah.
And I think you kind of laughed at me, and you're like, Drew, it's 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Come on. You know? And that was an eye-opener for me, because I'm like, oh, this is to become a part of my life.
Yeah.
If I let it.
And it should. Like, if you want to really excel, and like you want to take it serious, and you literally want to be as good as you can possibly be at jiu-jitsu, like, you have to let it take over your life. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to, you have to be dedicated. You have to like think about jiu-jitsu all the time. Not all the time, but like, everyone should know what I'm talking about. Like, you need to like wonder why that arm bar, why you got caught in the arm bar, why you couldn't finish the arm bar. Like, it has to kind of like bother you. Like Nick Diaz had the saying, like MMA, like he loves it so much he hates it. Like, you have to hate it to love it. Like, jiu-jitsu is the same thing. Like, if you want to really excel, like, it has to eat at you that some days you have to hate jiu-jitsu, and like that way, like, you get the full effect of like loving it and wanting to be as good as you could possibly be.
I can see that. And you also have to hog the television and watch YouTube, and don't let your wife watch any of her shows.
That's true.
Wonder why you're watching jiu-jitsu videos again.
Well, all I do is watch the pans right now with Tynan Dalbra on somebody's back right now, up 6-0.
Oh, that's great.
I'm pretty sure Tynan's like never lost at black belt or something, or a major, or had some crazy stat. Tom would know it because he's a black belt under Tynan Dalbra.
That guy's not in a good spot right now.
Not at all. But yeah, this is good. Is this the only mat that's on right now, or are there other mats?
I think it's the only mat, but there was two matches before this.
Yeah, because I think it's the finals right now, so they're probably just doing one mat at a time. Man, we need to get to like the super heavyweights and whatnot, so we can see Marigali.
This is lightweight.
This is middleweight. Yeah, but yeah, the finals. But yeah, I mean, that could be you, Drew.
Could be.
Yep.
Stay tuned.
Yep. We gotta get a couple more stripes on your belt.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You ready for it? I'll stripe you right now.
Oh wow, perfect. Is this how we do this?
Yeah. You want this?
Just come on the mediocre. I'll take this one right here. This is nice.
Yeah, you could have that one.
I like the color of that one.
It's cute. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm at the point of my jiu-jitsu journey where not only can I tap out, but I might actually be able to tell you what I'm tapping to.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. And you gotta get to the point now where you can like get a submission and then walk us through like what you're doing. that should be the goal right now.
You think so, man?
But as long as you even have the whereabouts right now to be like, oh, I'm getting tapped to this, I'm getting set up for this, like that's a huge step. Like you've gotten past the I don't know how I got here moment.
Yeah, that's true, man. Honestly, like at this point, like I have become more interested in playing with the positional aspect, rather than trying to be like, okay, I'm gonna get a triangle or I'm gonna get armbar. Just positionals. Okay, I'm here. What's a better position? How do I get out of this position? How do I get the opponent in a worse position? And that's taken a lot of almost a lot of thought out of the process and has made it more instinctual for me. And that has been the biggest shift for me at this stage, is not thinking of, I know we drill moves. Okay, this is that move. Unfortunately. You don't like that?
I fucking hate drilling.
Okay, well,
it's the worst.
Some people
I am doing it more, and I hope everyone in class sees that I'm doing it a little bit more. Just trying to better myself, and tell Roger I'm drilling sometimes.
And that was one of the early defining moments where I was so in my head, because it's I'm thinking of the moves that I just learned. All right, I'm going to do a guard pass now. Grab the gi pants, push, and then at the very simplest basics, you're literally just trying to get around somebody's legs.
That's it, yeah.
That's it. If you, in my mind, that's easier to think of than then you got to position your knee here, you know what I mean? And that just overcomplicates the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Not to take away from the importance of all the different types of guard passes. I totally get that.
Yeah. But they're all the same thing, right? You have to, the guard is their legs. You have to pass your legs. So a lot of time, I'll see people rolling and even Vincent, it's as they're going, they just try to go to the upper body first. Well, no, you have to get past their feet. You have to get past their knees. You have to get past their legs. And it's kind of in that step, control at their ankles, control at their knees, do in that order, or you can get straight to the knees and start Toriandos and stuff like that. But that's just the bare basic, is just get past their legs. Mm-hmm. And the only way you're going to get past it is to control them. You have to pin them down. You have to throw them to the side. You can cut through them, but you can't just go grabbing the upper body and get in the upper body. You're going to get submitted. You're going to get swept. Your good top position just went out the window because you're not doing step one, grab their legs.
Right. The
Toriando or cartwitll pass.
Cartwheel pass.
Yeah, you can do something cool. Yeah.
The old backflip Rooney. The Toriando has been resonating with me lately. That it is obviously difficult to master, but conceptually simple to understand. Yeah. Same with the X pass.
Yeah.
Cool.
And they go together right there. Right. You're still grabbing both knees, and they're great passes. And obviously, you drill them because they work. One thing that you do during drilling that I love that you do, and I think it just shows the people who want to get better, you throw an extra step in. So if we're drilling single leg X or X guard, you start in shin to shin. It's every time. Then you go shin to shin to single leg X, and then you go to X guard. So you add in these extra moves to drill these extra moves, and it just goes to show you're trying to get better. You're putting in these extra things, you're thinking about it more than other people, and doing that. So I can only say it's going to pay off in tenfold and whatnot.
I like that. It makes sense. And my logic, obviously not being an expert by any means, but I'm not just going to end up in X guard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be ooh, how did I get to this X guard? I have to forcefully put myself in that position. So it gets me thinking, okay, well, how do I get there?
Yeah.
And then just utilizing the opportunity. Although it actually made a really lazy shin on chin.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of this little lazy half roll, and they're just going to let me do it. Blah, blah,
yeah.
Blah. I'm going through the motions, but when we did those up, down, outs, and then David was all right, starting shin on shin.
Yeah.
And in my baseline, I was doing the lazy shin on shin that I was drilling to.
Yeah, you just got, complacent and got lazy with it. It's just a drill. I'm going to go through the slow drill.
But now it's real, and it is
and I had to hug that shin really tight. I have to really push my shin into theirs, pull their shin into mine, and then roll to my shoulder. There's those tiny little nuances obviously make a huge deal. If not, then they just slip off your shin on shin, or they just choke you or something.
Oh my gosh, man, that sticks with me.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that with him the other day. It's can you just choke someone? I was I was choking Drew yesterday.
Yeah,
you just grab him and start choking him.
Vader.
Yeah. And you can throw an extra one in. You just choke them and pull the head into it. And
can you do that?
Fuck,
the head
know.
pull? I mean,
at 6 a.m, you could do whatever you want.
I guess you're right.
So you're supposed to, like, if you do that, like, it's supposed to just kind of be a frame. And I'm sure, actually, I don't even know if there's a rule set to where you can just, like, grab and choke. But it makes it fun.
The Ezekiel's practically that. I mean, realistically,
it's a pretty. It can be a pretty brutal choke, yeah. But there's cool nuances to that too. I like to do a nogi Ezekiel where I just frame across the neck on like bottom, and then you just get like the forearm like pretty set on the neck, and you can like kind of grab up at the shoulder too to like really brace into it, and then out of nowhere you just throw the other arm in right behind it, and it just traps them right there. And then as you fall back in, it usually catches it off guard, so it's like a quick panic on their part. But it's another one of those just stupid submissions that you should not have got caught in. And for me, doing the submission, it makes it really fun and entertaining, and makes me like jiu-jitsu on a day-to-day basis.
You're doing that while playing guard?
Yeah. Wow. So like whether I'm like I have them in like my like an open guard, like kind of like a K guard, or even closed guard. You can do it in half guard too. I'll do it to someone tomorrow just so we can play and laugh at them. And then we'll tell them to watch the episode on Tuesday.
There you go.
Yeah. So what do you have like, I mean, like I said, man, you're doing great. And it's always nice to see like someone like who's like coming in and committed like as like a newer student to come in and then just like excel. And you've had like a little bit of high school wrestling. So like you kind of have like the body awareness already. Even though it was like 15 years ago. But like it's like riding the bike, right? Like you don't lose it. So you're not just coming in as like the spazzy white belt who's trying to use muscle and do this. Like, there's steps to learning and you do all that. But is there anything like you just feel like is not working for you, or like you're just running into walls anywhere?
Man, that's a good question. I still think that I get caught in the same traps.
Yeah.
But they're being set up in different ways.
Yeah.
And also, as I get to know the guys that we roll with on a regular basis, I think that through my growth, they've known where I've been at every step of the way.
Yeah.
And now, not only are they improving every day, but they're also able to apply the pressure that they see best suits where I'm at in my development.
Yeah.
So one day I might think like, okay, I've got this. And then you go back and roll with the same person.
Yeah.
And then now they're like, okay, he's starting to pick up on this, or he's starting to figure out the passing scenarios.
Now I'm going to try 10%.
Now I'm going to, exactly. Yeah. Now I'm going to give them a little bit more. So I think really what it is for me is like understanding that, knowing where I'm at in my own development in comparison to what these rolling scenarios present to me. And I don't think there's anywhere I'm necessarily stuck, and I think the reason for that is everything is still so new. As we rotate, like this is the second time we've rotated through single leg X, the X guard. That's actually when I had started.
Oh yeah.
And while it seems a little bit easier this time around, it still seems so fresh.
Yeah.
The application still seems so new.
And when you're only doing it for like, say, we do it for a week, right? So you're really getting like 3 hours, and not even that if you factor in rolling and whatnot. So you're getting like an hour and a half or 2 hours of X guard. Like that's like a tiny drop in the pan, right? Like that's not anything.
Sure.
So like to cycle back through 6 months later, and then you're like, oh, well now I got 2 drops in the pan, but this pan's supposed to be full of water. Like I have so much more to learn about this.
One thing on that though I will touch on, and maybe you could give me some input here, but I am starting to know what works for me and my body type and what doesn't.
Good.
The types of movements and where I can start to. Obviously, I want a well-rounded game. I don't want any particular thing to be something that I say I don't do.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say, oh, I play top or bottom preferably, or this is the type of guard that I prefer. But I'm starting to like naturally pick up on things that just resonate better. Like collar sleeve was just like, cha-ching, like it turned a light on in my brain that like this is something that I can utilize on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how big my opponent is because it works.
Yeah. Because you put the foot in the hip, right, and you have the biggest frame possible. Like they literally have to get past that giant leg as the frame compared to just like a frame in the arm or whatnot. And then as long as like you're putting the pressure in with that foot into the hip to like stretch them out and pulling on that collar and sleeve, like you said, like you could nullify David Garness with that,
right?
Or obviously he'd be able to nullify you, but it works both ways. And some of these guards are so perfect for that. And really, like all guards, like if you use them right, are like that.
Would you say the same for X guard and single leg X? I felt like I kept getting pancaked. My technique's not perfect.
Yeah, so X guard would be more of a yes to me than single leg X, because X guard, you have obviously you have the X, and then your feet are really like trapping them into it, so they can't really backstep over as long as they're active. If they try to sit down, they sit on your femur, right? Which is the strongest bone you have. So you could support David Garness's weight, or Ben's weight, or any of like these bigger guys that we have, that you can keep them in that. So that would be one that would be able to apply for like that major size difference. To where single leg X, if you grab the secondary leg, then that's going to slow them down. It's going to make it a lot easier to sweep. It's going to make it easier to sweep anybody. But if you don't have that secondary leg, their free leg that's hopping around and basing out, like when we were drilling single leg X, you didn't grab my second leg, so anytime you tried to hip into it, I was able to just walk around and stay balanced. And then you might have grabbed it, or I told you to grab it, or it might have been someone else, but I was like, yeah, I grabbed the second leg. And as soon as you did that, I can't step anymore. I'm going to fall, like as long as you get that hip pressure in. Like you just kind of want to like turn the knee a little bit with those hips. So as long as you do everything right in single leg X, then that works too. If you don't, then the bigger guy, say you try to do it to like either one of the two bigger Daves, like, well, they're probably going to outmuscle that leg, get it off the hip, and then if it were me, I would just back step around to like a reverse knee on belly. So as long as you do everything right there, then yeah, it'll work too. But if you don't, like one thing is off, then the size difference is going to play a much bigger role in that aspect. X guard can be like that too. Obviously, there's nuances to all these guards. Like X guard, like if you can get like a nice collar grip to break posture, well, that's gonna help. And like especially if you can break posture towards you, it's gonna get one of these legs light, their far leg light, and you can start working on sweeping over one way, like overhead or to the back or whatnot. If you can push their leg out and have like a far sleeve grip, you push that leg out, they don't have anything to base off over here anymore. So then you get their other leg light and you can start wrestling up. If you don't have anything, then they can just kind of sit down and smash. But again, your legs are strong enough to hold them because you have these two major frames in the way. So
yeah, that's a good point. So I'm figuring out those nuances along the way and just seeing what works. But everything's hard right now, honestly. It's just the way it is.
And fuck, it's gonna be like that for maybe forever. Like shit. Like I had the last 2 weeks. Last week, man, I felt really good. 2 weeks before that, I just kind of felt maybe longer, maybe like a month. I've been going through some mental things, as far as jiu-jitsu goes. Everyone in the class right now, they have instructors, right? They have David and myself and Tom, and Tom has his instructors at AOJ, and he seems like he's in contact all the time. But as far as I go, I don't have an instructor really. I do, but I don't. So between that and then the injuries, I felt like I was in this worse slump. So even at brown belt, I was it's still hard. I have this, it's more of a mental aspect right now that makes it hard for me. But at the same time with the injury, it's just physical too. So but last week, man, I felt like I was on a roll. I went to, all 3 morning classes. I went to noon on Tuesday and Thursday, 5 days in.
Wow.
And lifting and doing yoga now and just trying all these different things to just kind of better jiu-jitsu game all around, as far as yoga and stretching goes, as far as lifting, to more so just to build the muscles around my knees I'm trying to do. But of course, I'm throwing in other parts of the body too. So so let alone will it help the injuries, hopefully it's just going to make me stronger, make jiu-jitsu that much better.
Definitely. Yoga's a good one. I try to do yoga every night. Not a full routine, but I have a sort of shortened routine that I've created mostly for spinal flexibility.
Nice. How long would you say you do it for?
About 20 minutes a night.
That's a long time. That's what I'm on right now. And that's just what I just YouTubed Well, one, randomly, like, technology, like I was thinking yoga, so YouTube popped up yoga.
Yeah.
And
you probably said it and your phone registered
I don't
it.
even think I said it. I think it's
you just thought
I think it just knows now.
They can just read the brain waves nowadays.
I'm pretty sure. I wouldn't be
Thanks,
surprised.
Elon.
Yep. And so it stumbled up yoga for BJJ. Yeah. And like,
that's a good program.
It's the perfect one because like someone like me who only cares about jiu-jitsu but like doesn't so much care about stretching or doing this or like the other aspects about making it so I can do jiu-jitsu longer. So if I just ran across yoga on YouTube or wherever and like just pass, but as soon as I saw jiu-jitsu I was like, I could probably do some yoga.
It's cool now, right?
It's cool now, yeah.
That's the problem with yoga, man. I feel like it's gotten such a bad rap because like it's been taken to too many extremes.
Yeah.
Like yoga at its purest form is literally just aligning your body in a way that you can live a more healthy life. Like, it's the easiest, most simple concept, and it can apply to any sport or any wake of life. It's just waking up your joints, being aware of your body and where it's at. Like for me, it's huge because like you're coming off an injury. Yeah. And I would rather be in a controlled situation where I'm contorting my body and then finding out something is in pain rather than finding out on the mat. And then at that point, well, now you got a serious injury you're dealing with. So I do a lot of spinal stuff, stretching legs, knee joints, and then I kind of go from the bottom to top and just try to work that into my routine every night before bed. Yeah.
I've just been doing it. So I'm not really working during the day right now. So like just kind of after like morning jiu-jitsu, like I'll come home after I get the kids dropped off and I'll just YouTube like yoga for like full body yoga for beginners, and they're all like 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and then of course they get longer, but I've just been sticking to that 20-minute one, and it seems just like a nice quick thing. Like I could easily do it longer, and I probably should because 20 minutes goes by so quick, but at the same time it's like, well, I don't want to like burn out on it or do this. Like I just want to keep it like, man, I could have done this longer. I'll do it tomorrow.
That's the good point. Like you need to be at a point where you want to do more and then don't do more.
Exactly.
I think with anything in life.
Yeah.
Like especially me, this was one of the hardest things I had to fight growing up with like an ADHD kind of mindset is like when I learned that I love something, I overindulged until I hated it. And then I'd find something new. Yeah. It's like, well, if you do that, then you don't ever give anything the opportunity to stay with you for life. Yeah. Like BJJ, I could easily burn out right now and go 6 days a week and be like, definitely. Woohoo! And then I quit. I'm a 2-stripe white belt one day, off, a year from now. Yeah. And tomorrow. And then and then I'm done. Or it's like, okay, come 3 days a week, an hour, lightly do this, and then now I'm doing this for life. Yeah. And that to me is more valuable. So 20 minutes a day is great for yoga. Yeah. Don't do any more. And then one day you might say to yourself like, holy cow, 30 minutes just passed. Yeah. But tomorrow I'm going to do
that would be the goal, is like I would like to do like 30 minutes. Seems like that'd be like the max I'd want to do, just because like I don't want to like get to say 45 minutes and be like, I'm really bored right now. Yep. What am I doing? And like have that burnt out aspect, or just like where at 20 minutes right now, like I get done, I'm like, I wish it was 5 more minutes. Like I was like just getting like a really good stretch on my legs, something like that. And I'm just like, you know what? Like 20 minutes is good. I'm sure there's a process to it. Like I'm not going to be flexible today. Nope. I'm going to be flexible in like a month from now. And 20 minutes, 4 days a week, I think will be perfect. And then, so like between doing that and doing jiu-jitsu and then lifting, like I'm doing something pretty much every day. And just kind of a wider range of things. So like one day it's jiu-jitsu, one day it's jiu-jitsu and yoga, one day it's lifting and yoga, one day it's always like at least 1 or 2 things. And over the last week and a half, like I felt pretty good doing that. And hopefully it just kind of continues doing that, because it's kind of been something to get me out of like the little slump I was in. But I mean, jiu-jitsu is always going to be just like some ups and downs and like peaks and slumps and all that. And it's just trying to figure out ways to get around it, really.
That's crazy to think, and especially given where I'm at, seeing where my highs and lows are, but that's on a scale of like this. Yeah. And you've been doing this for like so much longer.
I've been doing this
I can't imagine like just how many ups and downs and injuries and like faces with how you perceive this art like that you've experienced. And then like one day I may have experienced those same things myself.
Yeah. I think you will. I mean, like I said, you're putting in the work right now, especially only being 6 months into it. Like I said, taking the drills a step further and doing stuff like that. And, you know, one thing like you're doing now that I didn't do, and I'm probably paying for it, like just time and time over now, is like you hurt your rib. So I'm going to take time off so my rib heals, to where I was like, I hurt my rib. I can't wait to go to jiu-jitsu tomorrow. Or like the knees, like they go in and out of place, and like it slips out of place. I pop it back in, and I'm like, all right, we got 2 more minutes left of this roll. Let's finish this roll. And it's just like, this is not a smart thing, but like I don't even know what else to do. It's like, we're just going to keep going.
It's real though. I can see it. I was on the borderline of depression.
Yeah.
When I took that month off.
It's a long time to take off. I can't even imagine taking off. I took the weekend off, and I was gonna go today, but like my daughter's like, we're eating lunch like right when we were kind of supposed to leave, and then I was gonna have to leave early to come back here for this, and I was just like, you know what, I'm only gonna be there for like 45 minutes. I'm just gonna stay home. My body will probably thank me, because I got 5 days in last week, so if I take today off, it'll be good. And I was just sat here, I was like, fuck, I wish I was at jiu-jitsu right now.
Yeah.
I should have went for 45 minutes. And it's just like, I can't even imagine taking 5 weeks off or a month off or even a whole week off. Like, so
it's eternity. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even lift. Just getting in and out of my truck was painful.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It was just so bad. And the fact that not only I couldn't do jiu-jitsu, but I couldn't do anything physical.
Yeah. Do you have like a lifting routine that you do, or do you work out at all?
I used to lift like every day.
Yeah.
And obviously take a couple of days off for recovery, but then I started training.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu. And I quit lifting entirely. I've seen more results from jiu-jitsu than I have from lifting weights.
That's not surprising. So Ryder's didn't say the exact same thing, but he was like, I haven't lifted a weight in 20 years or something like that. He's like, I just do jiu-jitsu, and he's jacked.
It's true.
Like, and then like for me, like obviously, like if you want to do jiu-jitsu and get strong for jiu-jitsu, like one outlook is just do more jiu-jitsu. Like you're gonna work the muscles you need, to where like you can't go to the gym and do like a bench press and expect like it to necessarily help your jiu-jitsu, unless you just want a big man escape from side control, right? Like, so like doing like some certain workouts, like you're never gonna work these muscle groups unless you have some crazy like in-depth routine. One thing I have found out that I feel like is kind of working for me is doing more like CrossFit type lifts. So like doing like overhead snatches and like jerk presses and power cleans.
Back to the BFS days. What?
And then, cause like, have you ever felt stronger in your life than doing BFS? Like,
oh, that, I don't know, man. I was too young to be that strong. That was crazy.
Yeah. And then like now, like, I don't even think like I'm half as strong as I was then. So like, and
I am definitely not as strong as I was then, without a doubt.
And like those were the days, and like we were doing power cleans and doing all these like big explosive workouts, much like, you know, functional fitness workouts are. And so I've just been trying to like throw those in. So I don't really do like any just normal squats or like a bench press anymore. Like it's all, I'll do like an overhead squat, and not anything like crazy weight. Honestly, most of the weights I do are probably under 100 pounds. At the most, it's under 135. A lot of that's because like I don't want to put a ton of stress on my knees, just where they're at right now.
Sure.
So I'll use like the bench, load the bar on like a front squat maybe, and then I'll squat down to that. So doing like box squats. But then if I can do like, you know, say 80 pounds of like an overhead squat, and I can like control the weight overhead and do a squat, like, man, I'm like working my core. I'm doing all this stuff all in one workout. Or doing like a power clean to like a jerk press or something. Like you're not only just working like what you do in a power clean, but then you're working your shoulders too.
Yes.
And then even like a squat, if you got to get low enough to get under it. So doing like smaller workouts and fewer workouts that work more areas, I feel like that's working for me.
It's kinder to the joints too. Like to do
Probably, yeah.
to do more reps at a lower weight.
For sure.
At this point, that's what I've noticed. Like when I broke into the 30s, like I stopped lifting heavy and I started lifting less. But in those workouts, I try to increase the repetitions.
Yeah.
Focus heavily on diet, and then mobility became a huge aspect of my workouts.
Yeah.
Like getting the full range of motion, taking your time, not rushing each rep. Those were the big breakthroughs for me. But I think I need to get back into it. Because while jiu-jitsu has helped me put on a lot of mass, like I get out of there and I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
And I just eat all day and I love it. And I've gotten bigger from that. But I also feel like jiu-jitsu it overly trains without like creating a whole comprehensive workout.
Yeah.
So I need to start to dial in on like the more prevention of injury. Like we talked about knee workouts that prevent injury. Getting more joint movements that start to strengthen the stabilizing muscles. I feel like I would thank myself if I were to just focus on that outside of the gym.
And like I just started doing this stuff. Like if I would have started doing it like when I just started jiu-jitsu, like same thing, like I would be thanking myself right now, to where it's like right now, like I'm trying to do preventative maintenance to make up for everything that has already been unprevented. Like so now like I'm just in like I don't even know how to explain it. Like I'm trying to like do it for damage that's already been done. Yeah. But like trying to prevent any further damage from happening. So like I went and got MRIs, right? So I have the partial tear in the LCL, and this is mostly bro science, but like from what I read online, like the LCL, like if you tear it, like it'll eventually heal itself. And again, bro science, it's just what I heard or read.
Did you read it on the internet?
I read it on the internet, so it's probably true.
It's definitely true.
Yeah, it's wikipedia.com, I think. If you've looked into that, it's really good. Axe of Jeeves, if that's still around. So I'm not sure if like how far that is or like how out of context or off that is, but I didn't get the MRI till like over 2 months after the pop happened, so I'm not sure like what really can be seen, if it'd be different than like if I got an MRI the day it happened, right? If it would look any different. I'm not even sure what a ligament is, honestly, if it's just loose tissue, if it's hard, if it breaks, if it still lines up so it can try to heal itself.
I don't think anybody knows what a ligament is, really. So don't feel bad about that.
Probably not even real.
Yeah. Made up by science to sell more pharmaceuticals.
Could be. And so they said that a partial tear, but it was still intact. And they said everything looked fine. But like I've rolled with plenty of people who like my knee has slipped out of place while rolling, and like I have to put it back in front of them, and it's like a jolt to see. And now I'm just like, no, the doctor said I'm fine. We're just going to keep rolling. So like to try to prevent, like, so there's damage done somewhere, and I don't know what would cause that, but not show up on an MRI. But it's like, well, if I can just strengthen everything around it, we're just going to try to prevent it from happening further. I've been trying to clean up my diet a little bit lately too. Cool. Good. Someone on my Facebook, I assume like a personal trainer or something like that. So he made a post about, eating habits and just kind of like gluttony, basically, like people that eat all day and whatnot. So I asked him like, what's an appropriate like window in the day to eat? And he was like 8 hours, something right around 8 hours, and not more than 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. I assume a lot of that's just like has to do with digestion as far as like before bed, and maybe just like how much time in the day your body spends like metabolizing and digesting food instead of like putting its resources to other places. Sure. That's just what I gathered from Joe Rogan. So a lot of more bro science. But I was like, well, this guy's in great shape, and I assume making a living off of stuff like this. So I started doing like an 8-hour window of eating. So between 11 and 7, like I'll eat, and then kind of a moderate amount, though I might try to narrow up that window and then just eat like an asshole in the window, but not eat like 3 hours before I go to bed. So if you don't know who Mikey Musumeci is, he's like a jiu-jitsu world champion. I think he only eats like 3 hours a day. Like he only eats dinner, and he eats like an entire pizza for dinner, but he'll make it, and it's like some sort of a healthy pizza, if there is such a thing.
I have a hard time believing that's the best way to go about it, though. 3 hours and eat a pizza,
and I don't even know if it's 3 hours. I think
you're
it's
a champion,
and he's ripped.
Get out of here,
man. So like I don't know if there's anything behind it, but maybe it's just like his body's like, his body's burning off that because he trains for 10 hours a day. But 2, like, so it digests everything, and it's just one meal to digest, and however soon or late he goes to bed after eating it, I assume plays a big part, and the activities you're doing, of course, has to play a part in all that. But right now, like, between trying to do all these other things as far as like, taking care of my body and taking care of my diet too, like I'm just hoping it pays off, before too long. So I'm one of those people, like, if I don't see results right away, it's like, this isn't working, If I can't start working out and squat 300 pounds, I'm like, well, these squats aren't working. I'm just going to quit working out.
Weights. Yeah. So no, that's a good thing. I think diet's huge. I started eating a massive breakfast every day. Yeah. Like that's They always said I never ate breakfast for the longest time, and now I do, and that just like sets the tempo. Usually a really big lunch, and then dinner. My desire to eat dinner has gotten smaller, a smaller dinner portion. Yeah, and I've just been sleeping well because of it. But that seems to work. But my window is probably 12 hours. Yeah. So start eating at 7, eat dinner at 7, and I'm done.
So you're gluttonous.
I'm gluttonous.
That's a sin.
As you can tell here.
It's a sin, Drew.
All of this.
I could tell.
Probably the smallest dude in our class. Who shows up regularly and doesn't hurt people on the mat.
That's probably true though. You're probably one of the smaller guys. What do you weigh?
165.
Nice.
Yeah,
me too. Kind of. Sometimes I weigh like 170, but
if you feel like it.
If I feel like it. Sometimes I range from like up to 175 though, and it kind of depends. But I'm hoping with like the new diet, like I can just, and lifting and all that, like I can just kind of maintain whatever weight I've been at, but I can just add like a little bit of strength and maybe a little bit of weight.
Sure.
But I used to care about weight a lot. And then especially like in jiu-jitsu, like if I wanted to compete, like, well, I wanted to be at a good weight to where like I wouldn't be like and out of shape, like say 180 pounds, and then have to be in a weight division with like people who are in a really good 180 pounds. And now it's just like, I don't really care. Like if I do decide to compete, like, well, I assume like my jiu-jitsu is better than that person anyway. So it shouldn't matter like what shape I'm in if like I think my jiu-jitsu is good all the time. Or whatever it might be, like, or I cared like in high school. I didn't want to weigh like be super skinny, so like I got up to like 200 pounds or 195 in high school. Those were in the BFS days. Yep. Those were like calorie shakes and protein shakes and creatine and
mass gainers.
Yep, and like 1,000 calories.
That was just trying to be big for the sake of being big.
Exactly. Yep, and that was like all you wanted in high school. You just wanted to be big, and now like obviously like it's years and years out of that. Now it's just like, it probably doesn't matter at all, right? Mm-hmm. And now it's like jiu-jitsu. It's like, it's probably like a pat on my back if I'm like sitting there like the lankiest person in the gym. If I can still win all these rounds against these people, I was like, well, that's probably a good way to look at it, I guess. Like there's probably a good way to look at that.
Yeah.
As far as like I don't have to be 200 pounds to sit there and beat Garness or someone like that. If I can be my size, like that should just speak more about my jiu-jitsu. So just ways to look at it, I guess.
Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. You got anything you want to plug? Home inspections, anything like that?
Yeah, no doubt. If you guys are in the process of buying a home, you could always reach out to me, StegoldHomeInspections.com. I'd love to give you an opportunity to have the best look at your home possible. Nice. And if you have any interest in potentially having youth go through the Connect Tribal Council, please feel free to reach out. We have a ton of great resources to educate children on all sorts of new technologies in the construction realm.
Nice. And then the podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and again, I think you can type it in on Facebook, the Mediocre Grappler Podcast. And thanks for watching.
Thanks.